This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
The more I learn, the more I'm around it, the more research I do, the more I realize that school choice has to be part of the solution when it comes to education in America. Giving parents the choice to say, I'm going to send my kids to the best schools out there. I don't know how you could be against something like that. Rising tide floats all boats. And what you end up doing with school choice, in my opinion, is creating competition. And competition is great. And if you are someone who can compete, teachers, administrators, then you will have jobs and you will do well. And if you cannot, you will not. And you should not. That's the thing that nobody wants to touch. That's the part. That there are some teachers, how many, what percentage, I don't know. It's not uncommon to have bad teachers, but there are some who should not be teachers. There are administrators and principals who should not be administrators and principals. There are some that have no business in education. They made a poor career choice. Regardless of how they got there, they're there. And they are hurting the system, and quite often they are protected and propped up, whether it's by a union or a school board, nepotism, they know somebody, they're propped up. We look the other way, and all they have to do is float out there, it's for the children. School choice has got to be part of the solution. We've got to find a way to say, creating competition and allow parents to make the best choices for their kids. There's a big rally going on in Columbus today. Sharon Poe joins me now. Are you heading up there, Sharon?
No, Doc, I can't get away from work today, but I do think we have some Tea Party people from the area that are headed up there today, and I believe they have like 5 busloads of people coming in from other areas, so I think it'll be a huge rally.
Are they actually meeting with anybody? Do they have any plans to? Is it pretty much just to show support?
Actually, I know there's going to be 4 or 5 speakers there. I know Lieutenant Governor Mary Taylor is going to be there. Several state reps, and I think a couple senators that are supporting this bill, this House Bill 136.
What is the House Bill 136? Can you give us more detail?
Basically, what it's going to do, Doc, is it's going to give families of 4 with an income that's under $100,000 to qualify for school choice vouchers. And basically, it be allocated to the school district to give the parent who's in a failed school district the option to send their child to somewhere else. And hopefully, what this will do, it's a huge step forward to giving school choice to all parents.
You know, it's really interesting. I got a couple of emails yesterday because I touched on it, and I had a guy on from School Choice Ohio, and one of the emails, the guy said, well, parents do have a choice. They can send them to a different school district. They can, move to a different school district. And he is right. However, by not opening it up to free market, which school choice will do, it protects the bad teachers and the bad districts as well. That's simply what it does.
I wouldn't even call that school choice, though, Doc, because you're still locked into the public school system. And, there's parents out there that want to send their child possibly, to a Christian school or to a different type of educational opportunity for their children. And as long as they are being taught the standard curricula, which is your science and math, which we're failing hugely in the international market, why can't we, allow this to open up, not just being tied into the public school system. That's not school choice to me. School choice is giving the parents the opportunity to send their children where they think they're going to be best educated. If the public school systems want to compete, that's great. Competition is hard, but if you step up to the plate and you're at the top of the competition chain, then you'll do well.
Well, I think then the argument was from the one email in particular that I got came from the personal perspective of, well, if we have a good school system, we want to keep that. And, some of us pay extra money because of our taxes or whatever to have a really good school system. And that helps us with our property values and creating a better community.
Well, okay, so if that's true, are we supplementing the child or are we supplementing the community? We need to supplement the child. We need to be concentrating on what's best for the child, not what is best for, a community. This is education. This is giving our children the best opportunities to be successful, when they're graduated and moving on, to be able to compete in the international market. We are failing. Like we had Jeff Reed at the Warren County Tea Party last week, and I can't remember what the percentage is, but a lot the children are not meeting the scores. So the answer, instead of trying to figure out why they're not making these scores, they're going to lower the scores so that dumbing down the kids more, instead of trying to find a solution as to how they can raise those scores. And it all boils down, basically, what it boils down to is it's the unions. It's the school unions that want to continue to have the monopoly on our children, and they have not done a good job in doing that.
I think you brought up a great point, though. You're right. What is our ultimate goal here? Is it to create a great community, or is it to educate the children? Well, for years, I've heard it's about educating the children. Now, it's nice to create a great community and have your property values and stuff go up. But you're right. Let's put the money towards the kids. Let's focus on the kids and educating them. And then what you ultimately get is not a dumbing down or a lessening of the community that this one email was talking about. What you ultimately get is a raising of all other communities. It's not a competition when you're talking your property values.
No, and to me, a community is nice. Nice area where people feel safe, and they have friendly neighbors, and they have community events and work together as a community. Sure, it's an important aspect of our lives, but again, why is it more fair for somebody that can afford to live in Mason, that cannot afford to live in Mason? Their children are not going to be given the same opportunities when all those children is our future, not just the children in Mason or not just the children in Lakota.
Well, I'm always hesitant to head down that road because I do think it comes down to, a free market system. But in a free market system, what you want is competition. And unfortunately, there is a monopoly. So what we don't have is, with the monopoly, we don't have that choice to say, okay, I'm going to go to this place because it's better. So what we would do is, again, raise the level of the bad schools up, or they would go away. Other ones would open up. I think in the long term, Sharon, as I've said before, the governor's budget does some good things by opening up, more money and more resources for school choice. Looks like this bill could possibly do that as well. These are all good things on the path. At some point, it's going to be unsustainable. We're going to have to make that final jump into true education reform and do something different.
Well, and, the thing is that as our costs, our property values continue to increase, but our children's education go nowhere. They're either stagnant or being lowered. So we're not getting a good product for our money. And, the school districts and these school boards are all run, by the unions. And last night I was at the Lebanon school board meeting, and they did a backdoor deal. They put an amendment on the agenda at the last minute. We walked in, the agenda was there. Then right before they got to the meeting, there was all of a sudden this paper appears that they are going to go into executive session and to decide whether they want to approve the union contracts for the teachers union and they have a couple other unions there, and without any so the public was not even informed that this was going on, and basically they did this because they wanted to beat the SB 5 bill being approved. So now these people are protected because it's not going to affect any contracts are in play, when it goes into effect.
It's funny, over the weekend in the Inquirer, there were two op-ed pieces written, one by a professor of education at Columbia University, one from a director of clinical experiences at Miami University School of Education. And I just want to share the headlines. The first one, teacher quality can't be measured by scores alone. And I agree with that. But I've never said they could be measured by scores alone. I think it comes down to, ultimately, the parents and the child. The child, how well are they doing? And it's not just based on scores, but some of it the parents. School choice opens that up that says, I don't think my kid is doing as well as they should or could, so I want to send them someplace else. The other one said, we must invest in our children's education. Sharon, we have been investing in our kids' education forever, and we keep investing more and more. This is one of the greatest fallacies out there, that we don't invest in education.
Well, yeah, because, again, I mean, if you look at how many school levies there are out there, and the time they keep throwing money into a bad system, and you're not, you keep doing the same thing over and over, it's not going to accomplish anything. We are not accomplishing what we need to do, and that is to prepare our children for their future. We are failing our children. We need to step up to the plate. We need to allow the parents to invest in their children's education the way that they feel they need to be. And it's just like when you buy a home. You buy a home and you don't put any money down. Where is your option to keep it up and to make sure you pay it? If you lose it, you don't have any money invested in it. It's the same thing with school choice. If you're as a parent is investing money into a particular school or a particular, and they see that money, and that money is going there, and their children is thriving, you don't think that that's going to have an adverse effect on how things are handled now with our children?
Again, school choice rally today at the State House. Sharon Poe, I appreciate you joining me. What time is that again?
It's from 1 to 2 on the west lawn of the State House.
All right. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. We'll get some of your calls coming up and dive into the Little Miami District and also the winner of the Southland, Missouri Hide-and-Seek Championship coming up on 700 WLW. Your Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast for meteorologist Frank Marzullo. This afternoon, clouds, some sun breaks, but probably some thunderstorms. Afternoon high around 70. T-storms by dawn tonight, but overnight pretty warm, low of only 56. We got severe T-storms on the way tomorrow with a high near 72. It's 52 right now at 700 WLW. Gary, Anderson Township, you're on the air, sir.
Hi, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well.
I heard you and your guest, you seem like you guys kind of wanted to berate the teachers' unions, and to some point I guess they are at fault. But, I mean, the teachers' unions don't decide curriculum. The teachers' unions have nothing at all to do with the school's disciplinary policies towards their students. Their contracts are just on pay and work conditions for the teachers. I mean, they have really nothing to do with how well your kids are being educated. I mean, if you...
Wait. They have nothing to do with how well your kids are being educated?
Exactly. I mean, give me one specific thing in their contract,
Gary,
that's prohibitive of your child learning.
I'll give you one word. Tenure.
I understand that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I mean,
Gary, tenure protects in many cases bad teachers, and that is what the teachers union fights for.
Yes, but did not management also agree to that? So management would be just as responsible, wouldn't they? I mean, they agreed to that in the contract, so they're just as responsible.
They are responsible in some cases, Gary, yes. But I think you understand, as we've seen in Ohio and in Wisconsin, what it's like when you try to stand up, even being reasonable about things like tenure, to the unions. And what happens? You get vilified and verbally and in many cases physically attacked.
I agree with you on that. There are abuses in that.
No, Gary, that is why the union thuggery that happened in Wisconsin and Ohio was so outrageous. It's protecting the people of the union. And they know that. And they're not even willing to be reasonable about things like tenure. They know it props up bad teachers.
I agree, but that's what the union's job is. It's to protect.
Yes, exactly. So let's stop pretending that the union's job is to educate.
But no one's ever said that the union's job is to educate.
Really? Look at the teachers who talk about, well, it's all about education when they go and deal with their contracts and their union negotiations. It's not. It's about their money and their job being protected.
Absolutely. But how come the non-union teachers, like down south, How come their test scores aren't so much higher than the ones up north where they're more heavily unionized? I mean, Mississippi, Texas, places like that, their educational systems are a joke. Look at Kentucky's. It's horrible. Only 15% of their teachers are union. Ohio's are much higher. I mean, do you want to make the case that all those non-union schools are much better?
So, well, no, Gary, in some places they are better, in some places they're not. So it's not a magic bullet. But that is certainly, why should we then say we're going to go ahead and accept collective bargaining of teachers and things like tenure when it certainly isn't helping us any? If the teachers' unions are about protecting them and putting more money at the problem, which they clearly are, then why would we go down this path if you're not going to see any drastic dip when you go in other areas, like you've said, where there are no teachers' unions?
Because it's not up to me or you whether or not a teacher has someone representing them at the bargaining table.
Really? It's not? That's my whole point, Gary. It should be up to you and I. If somebody is collectively bargaining and I am the manager.
Should it be up to me? I mean, you're on the public airways, so should it be up to me whether or not you have representation when you bargain with Clear Channel?
Gary, this is a privately run and privately held company.
That's right.
This is teachers are not privately run when they are in the public schools. Those are our tax dollars. Do your tax dollars pay for this radio station?
No, they do not.
Well, there you go. I am the manager and you are the manager. We are the ones paying the bills for all the teachers in public schools.
That's right. And that teacher has a right to have someone bargain on their behalf, and we have the right to have our elected officials.
Gary, that right. What is the right? Where is that written? Where is that right?
The Fair Labor Standard Act.
The Fair Labor Standard Act. Okay. And it is a right for people to collectively bargain.
Correct.
It is a right for them to collectively bargain. I don't agree with that right, Gary. Do you agree with every law that's been passed in American history is accurate and right?
Absolutely not.
Okay, there you go. I advocate that is a ridiculous notion to call that a right to collectively bargain so you can prop up bad teachers.
No, I believe that everyone, whether you work for the government, a school system, you're a talk show host, or anyone else, has a right to have an agent, a union, or anyone else.
No. Agent and union are two completely different things, Gary. Don't give me that.
But I'm just saying, those people...
No, agent and union are two completely different things.
What's different about them?
They are completely different. An agent acts on behalf of a person.
Right.
A union acts on behalf of a profession, of a group of people.
Correct.
And what it does is prop up bad people. No, it doesn't.
A union...
No. Wait a minute. A union does not prop up bad people?
Sometimes.
It doesn't protect them?
Yes, it does.
Okay, but an agent, does it prop up a bad person?
Yes.
How does it prop up a bad person? If you go in as an agent and negotiate on behalf of one person, how is that propping them up?
I don't know. Go look at Charlie Sheen. Look at Ocho Cinco, Terrell Owens.
Those are bad people? Wait a minute. Those people haven't performed? Did Charlie Sheen perform?
I don't know whether he did or not.
Did he or did he not perform? Were they making money? Did he meet the terms of his contract as far as making them money and doing his job? Yes.
I don't know. The producers fired him.
Yes, they did. Did he make them money or not?
Sure.
That is primarily his goal. When you look at teachers and bad teachers who have tenure and get propped up year after year after year, knowing that they are bad teachers, the other teachers knowing they are bad teachers, they are being protected by the union. Union and agent, completely different things. Doc Thompson, 700 WLW. Coming up today, 12:06, the Bulldog is in for Willie. He'll have the latest on Libya. Should be pretty interesting. The Bulldog in for Willie today on 700 WLW. All right, before we get back to the teacher discussion, I have to share with you the story that I promised I would get to, and then we get a little sidetracked. The winner of the Southland, Missouri hide-and-seek championship is 4-year-old Bryce McCracken. He's not officially the winner, but he gets my vote. Sunday night, he was playing hide-and-seek with some other kids, and he disappeared. He hid and disappeared for 12 hours. The police were called in. 250 volunteers and first responders united to walk the woods near his house. They had dogs. People were joined hand in hand, searching the underbrush in the trees. And he was simply hiding for 12 hours. Now, fortunately, he ended up being found. He is safe. He is fine. Checked out. Everything is great. I say you give him some sort of award. 250 people looking for the kid. They had dogs. The family's running around. They're making calls. Police. He can hide for 12 hours. Good for him. He gets some sort of award. I say enter him into a national competition. Maybe he could get some sort of sponsorship or something like that, right? Now, I'm sure the parents were pretty upset for the 12 hours, but even the sheriff's department couldn't find him. After 12 hours, he emerged from the woods and looks like he is okay. So congratulations to Bryce McCracken. I don't know if anybody can top that. National, I say go ahead and make it national. You can hide from that many people. Rick, Sharonville, you're on 700 WLW.
Yeah, I'd just like to take exception with your guest's comment about having the vouchers go to the Christian schools. You know, the kids can transfer to the Christian schools. If that's the case, then why don't we give all the kids that are in the Christian schools a voucher? Because I'm paying taxes just like the other people. Why should I be forced to pay the tuition then for my kids to go to those Christian schools?
No, I think that's the overall, the final outcome that you'd like to see from School Choice Ohio or School Choice in general, that you would have a choice. If it's a school, you'd be able to put your dollars where you want. If your kids are getting those dollars or would be in a public school, they should be able to put it wherever. You want to go to a private school? You want to go to a parochial school? Go.
Okay, that I'll go for. If I can use, then they'd be supplementing me and paying for my child's tuition, which is what I'm looking for if that's what they're going to do with, moving the kids to those Christian schools.
The idea is that we allot money per child, whatever that is for an area or a state, to go to public schools. The public schools have failed. Generally speaking, they have failed. They have failed to keep up with standards around the world. We are no longer competitive. And no matter what we do, we throw more money and more time at the situation. We hire more teachers, and we're not getting the bang for our buck. So, Rick, why shouldn't a parent be able to say, if X number of dollars are allotted for my kid, let me take at least a percentage of those and put them in a school that I know is better?
I agree with that. On another note, though, I wanted to let you know, I agree with you on the tenure. My wife has been a teacher in the Catholic school system for like 30 years. She is on a one-year contract every year. It has to be renewed every year. If she doesn't perform, she doesn't get a contract. That's the way it should work.
And that's it. And I agree with even the article that I talked about that was in the Inquirer that said can't be measured on scores alone. It needs to be measured on the greatest scale we have in America to measure. There are other specifics you could get to, but the greatest scale is whether or not people want to go there, whether or not they want to use the product. Isn't that a great way to measure? Do the kids want that teacher? Do the parents want them to have that teacher? Do the parents want them to go to that school? Your parents know what schools are good. You know which ones are achieving. You don't have to have just test scores. You can look at graduation rates. You can look at all of those things. So you open it up for the free market, you would see the good schools, the schools that people want to go to. And that would be based on their perception of the school, as well as them looking at test scores and them looking at graduation rates. And also it would come down to their bosses, just like the rest of us. Does your boss determine how well you're doing? Now, it may be based on different criteria, whether or not you're bringing in sales or, in our case here, listeners or whatever. But they ultimately get to decide. Why is that so troubling or offensive to teachers that their bosses would get to decide? What, because of nepotism or special favors? That happens all the time. You have family members working for family members or friends working for friends. Happens all over the place. Why should you be separated from that? That makes no sense. Pam and Morrow, you're on 700 WLW.
Thanks for taking my call. First of all, the last caller was not listening carefully because the woman clearly said Christian schools or other schools. So she did leave the door open for every school. And some people just get so worried that Catholic school or Christian school people are going to get some advantage that they're myopic or whatever the hearing term for myopic is. So that's the first point I want to make. She did say other schools. Secondly, where else on, at least in this country, do you sit there and get a lousy product, and you get a product that costs too much money, and you're asked to pay more and more for the product, and the product doesn't improve, yet you are bound by law to pay for it? And that's the thing that bugs me. And that's the thing that unions, they can't see beyond the end of their nose. We're being asked to pay for their continually declining product. And I'm telling you, they just don't get in the real world. Most of us get fired or laid off or, something happens to us whenever we continue to perform like this and show these results. But we have to pay for it no matter what. I think that stinks.
Well, I appreciate the call, Pam. Thanks so much. I'm going to get to a couple of emails here. First of all, and I didn't get a chance to do it because there were so many different areas we went with the one caller who was defending that. First of all, one that says, Doc, the state union, OEA, the Ohio Education Association, lobbies the policies that schools must implement. I didn't get to touch on that because we got on many other things. But it is true. He was wrong that unions do lobby on behalf of policy. Not just in teachers' unions, but in a lot of different unions. That's one of the things they lobby for. And in teachers, yes, they do lobby at different levels for policies and education and what the standards will be and what is taught. Yes, they do. Bob checked in, Doc700WLW.com. He said, I live in the Worthington School District, and here are a few little-known facts. The school district administration offices house the local teachers' union leader and staff. Teachers and union leaders have a lot of input in curriculum, new curriculum, and online and book selections. The 2011-2012 school year will have a new program at the high school created by teachers, hoping to fund it with grants approved by the school board without a complete funding solution in place. He was just defending unions. Also got an email from Mike, subject, your rudeness. Whenever someone makes a point you don't agree with, all you can do is talk over them and not let them finish. It is a shame your views are so narrow-minded. You ought to try to expand your horizons and listen to what others have to say without trying to shut them up. It seems you cannot debate on fair term when you have the mute button. Well, Mike, I wish you would actually man up a little bit and admit to why you're really bothered by that call. You're bothered because you don't agree with my views, and that's fine. But don't mask it as in all this other stuff and being rudeness. I am going to challenge you if you make a stupid statement when you call in. And we can have a conversation. But if you're going to continue to try to monopolize and have just a monologue and roll through, I'm going to stop you and I'm going to question you on things you say to make sure I hold your feet to the fire. As I did that caller. You start throwing out ridiculous stuff, I'm going to call you on it. Not saying I catch everything, but I am going to challenge you when I know something you're saying makes no sense or is stupid. Now, if you want to be honest, Mike, then how about emailing me and telling me what your real opinion is, what you're really troubled by, without masking it in the delivery or my being rude. It really comes down to you don't like my opinion. And you can't even be honest about that. You're chastising me and you can't be honest. That's funny. It's Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. Coming up at 10:06 today, Doug Sanders from Arrival City. We're going to talk migration and the patterns across America and what it means to you and also the tri-state. And that'll lead into 10:33. We're going to talk about the economics of Hamilton County and where the county's headed. Very interesting. I had the caller talk about the right to unionize. And we didn't get real specific on it. Yes, the right to unionize has been around since the 30s. However, we can't confuse that with the right to collectively bargain. In fact, a federal district court in North Carolina laid it out with the Tar Heel state in mind. All citizens have the right to associate in groups to advocate their special interest to the government. It is something entirely different to grant any one interest group special status and access to the decision-making process. Collective bargaining is not a right. To gather as a group of like-minded people discussing the same things, even if it is as ridiculous as we happen to work for the same company and do the same job, or work in the same career field, as ridiculous as that may be, that is your right. Collective bargaining is not a right and should not be. You want to do it, fine. Your company wants to allow people to do it, fine. I find it a ridiculous notion. If I had a company, it wouldn't be a part of the company. I would shut the thing down first. Don't think I'm joking on that. I would rather not have it than to be held hostage by a group of people telling me what is right for my company. Let's go back to Robert Lima. You're on 700 WLW.
Yes, sir. Hey, you just hit on it. You just hit on the problem with your last sentence that you just said. You said you would shut the company down. Well, the thing is, these school boards that is negotiating with these unions, they know they can't shut the school down. They know they can't take the school up and move it somewhere else where there's a non-union. They have to pretty much give in because they know that there's nothing they can do about it.
No, you're right, and that's what started this whole conversation off about school choice, giving schools the choice, giving parents the choice to say we're going to take the money out of this school, put it in that school if we want, because our kids deserve the ability to pick the best school, the best education for them. I mean, the money's going out there anyway. I want to touch on this op-ed piece written by a lady who is the director of clinical experiences at Miami University School of Education, Health and Society. We must invest in our children's education, it says. Have we not been? The funny thing is I share excerpts from her article, from her op-ed piece, is that she is the director of clinical experiences. She works for a college university and obviously has no idea how much we spend on education and how it has skyrocketed in decades. It has gone up and up and up. So, does she not know that as somebody who works for a university does not know the facts, the amount of money we have spent, that it has increased over and over and over again? Or is she conveniently pretending, as a lot of union teachers do, that it hasn't increased? Or just ignoring that fact in order to continue to push this idea that they're really interested in educating the kids? Which is it? Either way, I would say this is somebody who loses a lot of credibility while working at Miami University. Do you not know the facts, or are you spinning? Either way, that's pretty bad. She said there's always room for innovation and growth in education. I doubt that many teachers and administrators would disagree with that statement, but the truth is, if we want to acquire and keep high-quality teachers in the classroom, we need to start by hiring teachers with a strong educational foundation. Yes, I think that would be a good thing as well. She said we need to support them with mentors and effective educational leaders. Okay. I don't think any of us disagree with that. We need to trust them to do what is right for children and give them some respect. I agree with that. I don't think we're not doing any of those things. In fact, I'm the one who's advocating for innovation. I've said we need to support them. We need good teachers. The way we do that is with free market and competition. She said we need to give them class sizes that are manageable. Well, that is certainly subjective, because I've seen studies out there that say that a bigger class size does not have a negative effect on the learning. A lot of that has to do with the teacher. She said where manageable class sizes where they can get to know their students and can focus on the educational needs of each student. She said, finally, we need to put the most experienced teachers with the hardest to teach students and give the new teachers a chance to strengthen their classroom management skills so they don't leave the profession after a few years out of frustration and isolation. She said keeping good teachers in the classroom should be a priority for our school administrators and our legislators. Is it not? Keeping good teachers? I want to keep good teachers. What I want to do is get rid of the bad teachers. And then she says, this is toward the end of the article now. What does it all sum up to? That will only be effective if, as a society, we are willing to invest in the goal. In education, as in life, you get what you pay for. I agree. You do get what you pay for. In a free market, you get what you pay for. But in a monopoly, You simply get what they force upon you. You get the only thing that is there. You have one option. You don't get what you pay for. You get what they tell you to pay and whatever they want to give you. Somehow that is lost on her. Somebody who even works in education and doesn't understand that. Doesn't understand the concept of a monopoly. She's all about, throughout this entire thing, you can sum it up by saying, invest. In other words, give us even more money. Just got some interesting news sent my way. Looks like the superintendent of Mason Schools is going to resign after this summer. He's been there a couple of decades. Kevin Bright is going to resign. Looks like he's going to become the assistant superintendent for the Lakewood School District. That is on the near west side of Cleveland, so he's heading up there. Said it's an honor and a privilege to Mason's families and community for the last 21 years. So the superintendent of Mason Schools looks like he is gone.